Whenever you're ready. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Craig, film enjoyer living in England, and I'm back on the pod. That's how we speak now, post Megalopolis. I'm back on the pod.
Hi, I'm Kevin Matthews, Scottish film fan living in England, and hey, I like trees as much as the next guy, but we're not here to discuss trees.
Can we though? Instead, just for...
Oh man, I'm Tyler Hosley, and y'all hear that noise? Because I do. That's the sound of a fucking broom sweeping this week, baby.
I'm Dave Gray, and this week I learned that, strip clubs should give the dancers fair pay and health insurance. I mean, I knew that, but then it was mentioned and I'd forgotten. But yeah, no, everybody should get those things, especially people in sex work. That's all I'm saying. And me and people in sex. Maybe I should get into sex work for pay and insurance when they get it. I might.
But you should have no need for insurance in the first place.
I should have no need for insurance, but I live in the United States, so I'll always have need for insurance because Ronald Reagan told a bunch of fuckwits that single payer was bad. Then he destroyed our economy. But the fuckwits didn't notice because H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton spent 12 years trying to hide it. And they did until W came in and fucked it. And then, the guys after that all kind of fucked it.
Well, that's now you fucked up my idea for my special. We can't do the Ronald Reagan special this month.
Oh no, we should totally do the Ronald Reagan special. I have so many things to say.
We would not talk about his legacy as an actor.
There was a monkey that was almost a hero to the world, but tragically they stopped him from completing the task. Oh, this week I watched Top Secret. I showed my niece Top Secret, one of my favorite movies from Zaz. It's still fun. I watched.
Well, Dave. I mean, this is Raiders of the Podcast. Yay.
Oh, it is Raiders of the Podcast. Yeah, I was so angry at Ronald Reagan. I forgot where I was for a second.
Does your insurance even cover you being on the podcast at this point?
Well, I no. No, actually it does. And I tried to make an appointment with my doctor, and they said, no, you got to wait 6 more months according to your insurance. I went, oh, well, but I'm in pain now. And they went, suffer! So,
See, I don't get how it works. Would your insurers listen to this show and be like, well, I'm not insuring Tyler because he's bound to catch something?
I mean, I am 100% sure that this show is why I've been denied for a bunch of things.
Dave's too angry to cover.
This is my pre-existing condition. It's why I couldn't get a colonoscopy in January. What was I saying? Right, I watched... I totally forgot. I watched Top Secret. Top Secret is great. You should watch Top Secret. I'm sure I could make a joke about Skeet here and it'd be very funny, but I'm not going to. Abrams and Zucker were brilliant for a long time, and they did some excellent comedies, and rest in peace, Abrams. I watched The Thin Man because the holidays happened, and I got a whole, and my birthday happened. So on my birthday, I got a whole stack of the complete Thin Man series on Blu-ray, which I didn't have, so it's a good upgrade. I love those movies. Someday, soon, we're probably going to watch a lot of those at one time, and y'all are going to just enjoy it because Myrna Loy is best girl ever. Then I watched so much Dragula, so much fucking Dragula, man. I watched so much Dragula, and now is there a word for when you've watched too much drag shows? Have I made that joke? I don't know.
It should be pretty easy. Look, Kevin. Well, Kevin will do it. This is Kevin's whole area.
This is Kevin's whole area.
What? Just a word for watching? My whole area is coming up with a word for having watched too many drag shows.
Yeah, I mean,
It's been coming up with punny kind of,
well, in Scottish traditional dresses,
Oh, right.
definitely your area.
definitely.
I'm sorry,
So
I'm
do it.
blank. I'm blank
Do
at
it.
the moment.
Jesus, what the fuck, man?
I'm sorry.
Okay. And I cracked open the Todd Slaughter box set, and I haven't watched a full movie yet, but I did watch a little bit of all of them, and that set looks fantastic. And I'd say rush out and buy your own, but I have number 5,000 of 5,000, so you can't. Suck it.
Only one for me this week. I went to the theater and I saw Baby Girl. I didn't see a single cucumber with a sticky condom on the theater floor. I mean, that greatly upset me because I was hoping I would. It was just an old couple in the back, which,
Well, you didn't look closely enough at that old couple. His name is Cucumber.
I would have watched that old couple fuck. I would have. But between this and Eyes Wide Shut, Nicole Kidman is now like the actual queen of erotic Christmas movies, which I didn't see coming. This is probably the best film in actual years to tackle kink and BDSM since something like Secretary, which is one of my all-time favorites. I love the way it handled the dom and sub power dynamics of the two characters too, especially Kidman. I mean, she's never portrayed as like a naive housewife, which I thought that's how they were going to portray her. She's just really unsatisfied in her marriage, and she's just fucking brilliant in the role. She's amazing. Nicole Kidman is amazing in this movie. Dickinson and Banderas are excellent. Antonio Banderas, he's got a final scene in this that just blew me away. He's incredible in this. This might be one of his very best performances. He's excellent in this. The soundtrack is great. It's got In Excess and George Michael needle drops, which is awesome. But yeah, it's a great movie. You all need to see it. You will like Baby Girl a lot.
Hey,
really, really good stuff.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is To Die For set at Christmas, or is it just winter?
I think it's just winter. I don't remember a Christmas tree in that. But
yeah,
I
me
thought it
neither.
was just
And I was,
winter,
yeah, all right. I didn't think so. I was just thinking about the ending, and I was like, did Nicole Kidman have a trifecta? But no.
I kind of wish it was. That would have been amazing.
Right?
That would have been the trifecta of Nicole Kidman erotic Christmas movies. But yeah, that's just me. Just one for me this week.
Batman Forever wasn't at Christmas because she's pretty horny and weird in that one as well.
It's got pretty neon lights, so maybe.
Yeah, actually, that one is at Christmas. Yes. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah. There's a big Christmas tree that Two-Face attacks. Yeah. That is a thing. I wouldn't call it a Christmas movie, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it is set during the holidays. Or I'm getting it confused with Batman and Robin, which is possible. And Batman
Just
Forever.
Don't give Tyler ideas. He's planning some December special where he's like, now we're going to watch Nicole Kidman getting finger banged with a bit of tinsel.
I wish.
Like, any of us would have a fucking problem with that.
But
I'm like, if there were enough movies for that, we would have done that special 4 years ago at this point.
I was gonna say that's not the bad thing that Kevin hoped that I want that to happen like greatly now. So Nicole Kidman, let's make some finger banging tinsel movies soon, right? Like right now.
If you're listening.
If you're listening,
Nicole.
She's probably not. I mean, there's a good chance she's not, but maybe.
This is probably, yeah. I mean, she's probably listening to the podcast while in the midst of that advert where she's just looking up at the glowing cinema screen. That is what is giving her happiness and contentment. I watched Inugami, which was really good, and I'd like to know if any of you have seen it.
What was it called again?
Inugami.
I don't know what it is.
No.
It's a film, yeah?
Yeah.
Like a yogurt or... Okay.
No, it is a film. Sounds like a word that would be featured in Shooting Stars, but it is just a Japanese film.
Okay.
I really liked it. So I looked up this word, and it's to do with like the spirit of a dog, and they could believe that people would be possessed by a spirit of a dog. So it's based on some folklore. This film is apparently based on a book, and this guy comes into town and immediately starts feeling a connection with this older woman.
And finger bangs her with tinsel?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, okay. I was hoping that we came full circle, but no, my bad.
Oh, that's the sequel, Eyes Wide and Nugami. But it's just her making paper. He really likes her because he's coming to town as a school teacher, but she has this this reputation of having the inugami and looking after it for the family. And it's another one of many films that is on Shudder that I know people will watch and people will comment on Shudder being like, oh, no stars. Like, nobody got chopped up with an axe sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's, I can understand if people think they're getting a straightforward horror movie. I don't get a horror. But I think at this point, people should know that Shudder has quite a wide variety of films, and that's quite a wide range of things that could come under the umbrella of horror. Inugami makes use of this sort of supernatural aspect, but it's really about kind of the weight of tradition and reputations and sort of communities putting pressure on individuals, whether that's with their behaviour towards them or things that they've sort of looked away from in the past. So it starts off in a way that, like, I wasn't sure how it was going to start unfolding and how sort of big the supernatural element might be, but I just really loved it by the end. And although it's not necessarily something that would tick boxes for people looking for horror movie stuff, I think it uses that idea of the inugami well, and that does cast a big shadow over the whole thing. Like, it's really good, and I'm not familiar with any other films from that director, Masato Harada. So, I mean, I don't think he's a name familiar to any of us, although he's done about, I think, 30 odd other films. I haven't seen it yet, but I will check them out. Vicky and I went along to watch Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh be slightly lovey-dovey in We Live in Time, and we both enjoyed it. It is told non-chronologically, but that has happened a few times before, so I was worried it was going to be like other films I've seen done that way. But the best thing about it is that Garfield and Pugh on screen are people that you can just really care about and be invested in and want to see things work out for them. It's nothing new, but it's really well done, and it's actually really quite sweet and satisfying. So I recommend that to people who like have a heart. Like, I would never recommend it to Dave, but anyone who remembers what it's like to have at one time had an emotion that wasn't in a big book of emotions, Dave, that you read.
Hey, I like to point to the pictures.
No, I do. I think it's sweet. It's quite predictable, but it's quite well done. And I rewatched The Great Escape, which was a lot of fun. And I messaged you guys. I really think that people going on about lengthy run times in movies nowadays, I know it is a bit of a problem, but it wouldn't be as much of a problem or as noticeable if movies were just paced well. Like, The Great Escape is nearly 3 hours and never feels overlong. So many of the characters get perfect little complete story arcs throughout. And like, it's a reason it's a bank holiday staple on TV schedules here in the UK. I watched my shiny Blu-ray, and I enjoyed it. It was really good. I think that's it. Oh no, there was another two. So Vicky made me finish the Die Hards. I tried to convince her there was only 3. Now I let it slip about the 4th one. I say, okay, the 4th one's okay. You can watch the 4th one, which we did. And then she said, oh, I think I prefer it to the earlier ones. I was like, please don't talk silly. I want to continue a relationship. And then we went to a good day to Die Hard. And I'm pleased to say, at least, like, I don't think she was overly impressed. And there were still some simple pleasures that she quite liked some of it, but I know she wasn't overly impressed. And I even said to her, I was like, look, I don't want to sound like the film snob or whatever and just compare everything to the first one, which is a masterpiece. I was like, but if you compare that even to the previous film, which a lot of other people don't like, and I like it more than most, I was like, there's miles of difference. McLean goes from reluctant hero to running about Russia, pulling someone out of their car and basically punching him away and saying, do you think I understand you? He's just an asshole. You get none of the sort of geography that you had in the previous films. No decent action. It's just, it's every bit as bad as I remembered. It was a pain to sit through. And I was just pleased at the end that Vicky didn't turn to me and say, oh, that was awesome. So that's some small saving grace.
I'm happy for you.
Yay!
I'm happy you didn't have to put a pillow over your lady friend's face and
me too.
say
It was
goodbye.
it was a close call, and I was waiting with bated breath till we got to the end.
Especially holding the pillow as the credits roll. So,
my knuckles whitening on the grip. Yes. What did you think, Dave? And I don't think I mentioned this last week, but please let me know if I did, Dave. Kneecap.
Not that I recall.
So I'd heard about Kneecap from last year. It was on Prime here in the UK, and I'd been meaning to check it out. Heard it was a good comedy, like really just a lot of fun. Yeah, it's great. It's an Irish film with Irish subtitles about an Irish hip hop group who perform in the Irish language, and they see that as kind of a revolutionary act as well, because people are trying to say that the language is dying and like just needs to be left to die. So it's like really, really funny in places. The music is good. I looked them up because Kneecap are an actual band. So they use some of their own tunes through the soundtrack as well. I looked them up and got those. So that was a bonus. And it's kind of, like I'd seen someone mention this and mention how it feels like a good version of one of the many films that would come along in the wake of Tarantino's movies. And that's not the case at all. This is coming along in the wake of like Danny Boyle's Shadow. There are things in this that feel very Trainspotting, like in a good way. I think there's even a little homage where somebody, disappears into a wheelie bin for a moment and then comes out. But I do recommend it. It's there'll probably be people who are made a bit uncomfortable by some of the messaging through it. It's very much an in-your-face cry from the members of Kneecap about why they are so vocal and determined to stay that way. More so when people have tried to keep them quiet and tell them what they should and shouldn't say or rap about, or even what language they should use. It's really good. Have any of you seen that?
No,
it's
I've
on
heard.
my on my list.
I've heard Kneecap, but I didn't even know about the movie.
Yeah. Oh, you heard some of their stuff, Dave?
I have. I go through deep musical dives, and I have heard them. They're not bad.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, the Irish stuff that isn't translated, but they mix up with some of the lyrics as well. So some good stuff there. Yeah, Craig will be interested to know what you think of it when you get around to it. It is a lot of fun. There's a good energy going through the whole thing as well.
Yeah.
And that's me.
I will let you know.
Nice.
Okay. Well, because I am a man of of great honour, as you all know, I'm going to be pushing forward with Japanuary pretty much alone. I've got a little bit of help from Kevin there. Kevin gets a little pat on the back for not completely forgetting Japanuary and betraying me horribly. I started with the 1991 fantasy horror film Hiroku the Goblin. I'd seen before and liked, and I liked it again. It's a strange one. It is an outlier, even in a filmography as like diverse and weird as Shinya Tsukamoto's. He has made a lot of very odd films, but it's just there are horror elements in his films, but this I think is his only like outright horror film, and it's got really strong Evil Dead vibes in that it's a horror. It's the same sort of energetic horror comedy as Evil Dead, but the horror is creepier and the comedy is broader. So it's like there's constant tonal whiplash, like right the way through the film, which is really, really, really kind of odd to kind of sink your teeth into. And that's even before like it goes full blown fantasy adventure in the third act. It is a really oddly structured and oddly the tone is very strange, and I like it. I really do. I just would have liked it to play things straighter, because some of the horror elements in this film are they are nightmare fuel. They are really, really like hairs standing on end, just creepy shit. But it's I don't know. Tsukamoto has never taken the obvious path of his stuff. So, he just does his own weird thing. So I like it. It's fun, but it's kind of slight next to stuff like Tetsuo and Kotoko, which is his masterpiece. That's a gem. Has anyone seen Hiroku the Goblin?
Yes. Yes, I have.
I
There
have
we
not,
go.
but it's another one that's been on my shelf for a long time.
I wouldn't recommend it to Tyler because of the amount of times I just mentioned Evil Dead, but I'd probably recommend it to Kevin. I think Kevin would enjoy it. I then watched, let's have a look at his name, Shinji Somei's 1985 drama Typhoon Club, which was excellent. I really enjoyed that. It's basically an ensemble piece about half a dozen high school students. They're nearing graduation, and they're kind of looking down the barrel of quite unappealing adulthood. And all of this, as a literal typhoon is like approaching their town, and they end up stuck in their school. It's really good. It's really strong performances. It builds tension really well. There's a real sense of unease that builds throughout. Really strong control of tone as well. Really solid stuff. And I don't know, like I feel like it's a very Japanese thing. I feel like there are a million Japanese films about the inherent distrust between the younger generation and the older generation. It seems like a very Japanese thing. But this is a particularly good one. It really digs into the reasons, and it makes for a very interesting film. There's some very dark comedy in there that I really enjoyed as well. I really recommend that. And then one more I watched. I know Kevin has seen this because it was on his letterbox. I watched I don't know what I call it, like rise and fall of a pop idol comedy musical, The Stardust Brothers, and that was a blast overall. That was that was a really, really fun one because I wasn't 100% sold in the first half because the tone is so absurd and the pacing is frantic. Like it rushes through the story, and it was starting to wear on me a little bit around the halfway mark. But it just goes so full tilt bananas in the second half, but it just becomes kind of irresistible. So much stuff pays off really beautifully, and the way the very end, the finale, pays off the kind of wraparound structure of the story. It's fucking wonderful. It is very dark and very funny, like surprisingly dark for a film that's really just quite cheery and zany the whole way through. To give you an idea of what to expect, I would pair this film with either Hard Rock Zombies or Voyage of the Rock Aliens, or both. You know, why not both? Treat yourself. But yeah, that's a real treat, Stardust Brothers. I really enjoyed that, and I know you've seen it, Kevin.
Yes, I noticed you liked it more than I did. I just didn't think there just wasn't enough to it for me. Yeah, nothing substantial. It is fun. It is quite mad. But I didn't love it. I thought I was going to love it because I can't remember if it was rediscovered or if it had always been a low key kind of cult hit that just eventually got another release a few years ago. But it'd been a name that that was gaining some momentum when it did get its disc release. Anyway,
I'm not sure. I know Third Window put it out, and they dig deep. They dig deep for their releases.
Yeah, they've got some good stuff in their catalogue.
Yeah, they're really good. But I'm not. I won't be surprised if it annoys people when I say that it would pair well with Hard Rock Zombies. That they are tonally very similar, and they also share an amazing twist in the third act. They have the exact same amazing third act twist. So if you like Hard Rock Zombies, which most of you don't, I think Dave did, then you'd enjoy the Stardust Brothers.
It's funny that you mentioned Hard Rock Zombies. You were so close to watching the companion film, but then you apparently changed your mind. So so close.
Okay. I'm close. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I'm sure. But yeah, that's me this week.
Dave, when you're watching too many episodes of Drag Race, does that mean you're ready to...
Not Drag Race, Dragula, the superior drag series.
Oh, for God's sake.
Up, Kevin.
Yeah, well...
You bastard.
Just going to say you're ready to frock till you drop.
Yes, that's it.
That was all I had.
I have frocked till I dropped. Just...
You pulled it back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job. This week, we watched the 2024 American... Okay, I'm not going to use that word. Science fiction...
Film?
Well, no. Wikipedia uses the word epic, but that is not a word that applies here. Sci-fi drama written, directed, and produced by Francis Ford Coppola, Megalopolis, and the 2024 American comedy drama written, directed, and edited by Sean Baker and Anora. Craig?
Yes?
Would you like to pick a movie and tell us about it?
Sure. I'll go with Anora first.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah, I don't want to go first on that other one. Yeah, I like Sean Baker. Like so far, I'd only seen 2 of his films, Tangerine and Red Rocket, but I really like them. So, I like him. I don't like him as much as Tyler, obviously. I think I probably like him a little bit more than his own wife, if the stories about how this Anora came to be are true, and he just went to a Scream 5 showing, and then spent the entire drive home telling his wife that he had to make a sex worker film about Mikey Madison immediately. I guarantee that man slept on the sofa for a solid month writing this film.
I don't know, because
really
all his
Anora.
movies are about sex workers, so I'm pretty sure she's okay with it.
Yeah, I was like every single one of them, and she's produced every one of them.
So she likes the money and the sex worker movies.
Okay, but they're probably a good pairing then. Yeah, I really liked Anora. Um, fi- there are probably lots of ways to enjoy this, but I put my enjoyment of it down to me being like a bit of a moron. I would like not a moron as in unintelligent, more. I feel like I'm very easily led. Like, if you want me to watch your film and think about it in a certain way, you'll probably convince me really easily. I will just follow along, like just smiling dumbly, and you'll catch me out. Like what was that black and white film with Peter Sarsgaard and Molly Parker?
Oh, yeah. That
I
one.
forget the name, but that film leads you around by your nose, and Dave works it all out straight away, and it led me along in the way that it meant to, and but I think this one is much the same. I think you're gonna really enjoy this if you are the guy who thinks that the stripper likes him. I think that's the sort of person, that's the sort of demographic that's gonna get quite a lot out of Anora because for the majority of the first half, I was kind of blissfully unaware. I was trying really hard to get more invested in that central relationship, which at that point I took as completely genuine. I took that as that's the focus of the film. Like they're having fun, so I'm having fun, and I was enjoying it. I was just waiting for that. But I was just waiting for something. I was waiting for like a moment that made me root for Honora and Ivan a bit harder, but it didn't come because it's not that sort of movie. It didn't come. What came instead was just lots of evidence that I am a moron. Like I first the first clue that I was a moron came during the casino sequence when Ivan he kind of casually shrugs off a 20 grand loss at I don't know if the blackjack table, and you can see Honora like mentally calculate the different ways like 20 grand could improve her life, and she kind of lets her contempt for him kind of peek through this poker face she's had on for the most of the first half of the film. She lets it slip for a bit, and from then on, like everything this kid did repulsed me, and I could not understand like why I didn't see it immediately. Like, why did I ever like this kid? And then he bolts and he leaves Honora with those kind of out of their depth goons, and like that's when I finally got what I was watching, and that's when it started to work for me. You got this one crazy night, like dark comedy, but more than that, it's kind of laid over this. I think for me, a pretty scathing piece of like leftist class warfare. Like it kind of goes for the jugular. I, how would I describe it? Uncut Gems. If Uncut Gems was to marry the film Parasite, and the ceremony was officiated by John Cassavetes, that's how I would describe Anora, and like I loved every frame of it from the halfway mark on. It really worked for me. Uh, like Anora, the film and the character are such a perfect representation of where the Western working class are at this point in history. Like both have been sold a lie by by the elites. I don't like calling them that because it's all a bit like YouTube kind of nutcase, but they've both been sold a lie by the elites that if they work the hardest they can, and if they make the right contacts, and if they take advantage of every opportunity they spot, then maybe they can be up there with the elites. And the problem is that you could do all of that and just be told no, like Honora is in this film. She's just told no. And while she's being told no, she's got these people like people of her own class in the world holding her back, whilst the elites and their friends and their allies they change the rules, they draw up documents you're forced to sign or face total ruination, which is it's just like I say, it's just very much where we are now. It's a very long and angry way of saying the game is rigged. The game is heavily rigged. And watching a Nora learn that in real time during this film just kind of fucking sucks because I thought she was a fairly savvy person who got some of it was maybe just not cynical enough because these people were never going to let her in the gate, and yeah, just watching her realize that really, really sucks because I wanted the best for her. I wanted her to win. I wanted her to win partly because she's the proletariat made manifest in stripper heels. So obviously I wanted her to win, but also because Mikey Madison is so fucking good. Like she is so fucking good. Like I see exactly. Well, no, I don't think I see everything that the director saw in her because I think he had many adult thoughts about her, but I thought she was absolutely fantastic. Like everything that part needs, and it needs a lot. It needs resilience, vulnerability, resourcefulness, naivety, ruthlessness, like pathos. She nails it all so completely, and I always think that one of the hardest things to play is, or to play well, is someone who's really guarded, someone who's only showing the world what they want it to see, but also showing little glimpses of the truth they're hiding to the audience. You know, showing stuff to the audience that the other characters in the film won't pick up. It's like little imperceptible choices in a performance that I just think it makes for a really difficult balancing act. And Madison, she not only like nails it all, she does it really naturally and really soulfully. Like it feels effortless. It feels like a star-making turn, and you'd hope that it was. And apart from that, that woman can not only scream like a motherfucker. Her scream is incredible, but she wields the word motherfucker like a motherfucker. It's not a generic insult when she calls you a motherfucker. She's outright accusing you of fucking your own mother. It's savagery. The way she the bile of it is fantastic. I really loved her in it. And I loved what the film was getting at. I've definitely gone on too long. I'm like yelling in front of a hammer and sickle flag about the elites, like a letter bomber on YouTube. It really got me, and like Anora is great. The entire cast is great. The cinematography is great. The dialogue is great. The soundtrack is great. There's a Take That song in here that just fits perfectly. So that Take That song is great. It's really second to me. What I loved most about it were the themes, because the themes of this movie, they stayed with me as I sat with the film afterwards. And I thought about this film so much over the last couple of days, but it lay just outside my top 10 of the year as the credits rolled. But it sits really comfortably in my top 5 as I'm talking about it tonight, because it played on my mind beautifully. And that's just good art. So yeah, I really loved Anora. See?
Nice.
I mostly agree. I like a lot of it. Unlike Craig, though, I think the first 2/3 are fantastic. Well, okay, they do drag a bit. You could cut like 20 minutes out of this and not hurt anything, honestly. But I really like the first third where you see the transactional relationship, which is very much a transaction. Like, I'm shocked people keep calling this rom-com, because there's no romance in this. It's transactional. It's really well done. Like, it's incredible. And yeah, I agree. Madison plays the hell out of it. She is fantastic. The middle third with 3 employees desperately trying to keep their jobs by getting a 4th employee fired, I loved. My problem is it kind of falls apart in the third act for me, because we do see Anora as the savvy, smart, on top of it. And then in the third act, they kind of drop all that to make her, not. And I get what they're going for. I just feel it kind of undercuts everything that came before, because they really do set her up well. She understands the game. okay, it's spoiler-y. But she should understand the power dynamic shift when the parents show up, and they don't let that happen. And that kind of undercuts everything that comes before for me. But I think the first 2/3 are excellent. I really do. I'm a fan of Baker's work. I didn't care so much for Red Rocket. It was just kind of boring fluff to me with a mediocre Simon Rex performance, but it's Simon Rex, so it's better than I expected, but who fucking cares? It was just another let's normalize a guy fucking a minor movie, and there were 2 that year. So what the fuck ever. But Anora is a real bounce back. I mean, I loved what was it? Starlet and Tangerine and Florida Project. So, one misstep and it's back on point. The cast is good. Generally the rest of the cast is excellent.
I should have looked up the names of the three people who turn up at the halfway mark to try and control the situation, because all 3 of them are absolutely fantastic.
Yura
the way
Borisov,
they bounce off each other.
Yeah, Yura Borisov as Igor is excellent. Karen Karagulin as Toros is excellent, and I'm butchering these. I am so sorry. 2 of them are Armenian and one is Russian, and my Russian and Armenian is terrible. Vach Tov Mayasayan. I've only seen them written down. I am so sorry.
Okay, now I know why I didn't write their names down to praise them. I've just let you do it.
Yeah, well, my niece will listen to this and just give me a dirty look for how badly I butchered those. Anyway, they're all excellent. They are excellent. I do think that Mark Edelstein, or I think it's Edelston. I mean, that's the anglicized version. He's also a Russian actor, but I think he uses the anglicized now, so I can say Edelston. I think he's a bit weak. I mean, he's fine for the role he's in, and I also think Daria Ekamaskova, who plays the mom, is a bit weak. I mean, she's just kind of bland. She doesn't come off as threatening as she should, or as commanding. She's pretty though, so I guess there's that. She's actually a long running Russian actress. She's been around since the mid 2000s. Has done some solid work in other things. But I think the 4 that we follow for the most part, Madison and the 3 lackeys, they're all excellent. I absolutely love the scene in the Orthodox Church during the baptism. Cracked me up. You got shades of The Godfather right there, which will be very fitting when I talk about the other movie later. It's excellent. I thought it's well shot. It's incredibly well acted. It's well written. I don't think the final third lands as well as it should, but it does still have some excellent bits in it. Even if I wish they'd kept the character a bit more savvy, I understand. She's still supposed to be young. I get what they're going for. It's just, for me, it was a bit of a letdown. And, that happens. But, there's scenes after that, in the house and in the car, that are just fantastic. They're great scenes. Played incredibly well. Madison is an absolute talent, and it's a shame that I kind of doubt that her career will go much higher than this. She is a very Jewish-looking woman of Jewish descent, and for some reason Hollywood doesn't like to hire Jewish people to play Jewish people. Instead, you get usually Catholics playing Jewish people. I don't understand that one, but whatever. So I hope she has a wonderful long career after it, but I just don't see it happening. And I think that's a shame. She's excellent. The movie's fantastic. Oh, and I disapprove of them using the tattoo song. I mean, tattoo doesn't just suck, but there's a lot of weird cultural shit attached, especially when you have Russians in a movie about it. Because one has become like the spokesperson for the Russian version of the, very, let's say government lackey and anti non-heteronormative people. Sorry, that just popped into my head, and I just had to say that before Kevin went. I'm sorry, Kevin.
It's all right. Is that all the things you said?
Well, it's all running through my head.
It took me a second, but I fucking got that.
I mean, I'm happier with that than I am with Frock Till You Drop, so fuck you guys. I liked Anora. I liked it more than the Florida Project and Tangerine. I think the last one I liked as much as this from Sean Baker was Starlet, that I believe Tyler introduced me to on the podcast as well. So I like Anora as much as Starlet. Yeah, I would say that overall. I don't quite get all the love for it, as Dave said about the sort of the rom-com tag and where they're going with that hyper. And I do, however, get all the love and praise for Mikey Madison, and I'm very happy for her having her moment to shine and doing so because of such a brilliant performance. Like she is fantastic in this. She's the absolute shining star at the heart of it, and she makes up for a lot. Like, maybe it is just going in with different viewpoints. I didn't quite get the same interpretation of the whole situation as Craig did, because despite it all being transactional and quite clearly laid out in steps, I think, I mean, we've already mentioned spoiler warnings for the plot anyway. I think they do a disservice to Anora, because they're not giving her the chance to sort of change everything and improvise and move forward. Like, if she was the person that is aiming for making these steps, these little bits of progress, or going for, the sort of the ring she can reach for, you would think she would be able to try and just get the best out of even a bad situation turn to shit. And they don't let her do that. I know what Dave's saying about when the family come along and how things change, and she's not, she sort of realizes she's nowhere near them in a pecking order. But I mean, she still had. We've seen her throughout the film as a strong character who's been ready to fight for whatever she wants to tell them she's fighting for. And then she kind of just settles for pretty much nothing at the end. I know there's an amount. It's not a big amount. She got about the same for
10 grand.
one night. Yeah. I mean, wasn't that what she got from Ivan for one night?
No, that was a week. It was for a week. But, so she got 20 grand for 2 weeks overall. Yeah.
I mean, no, I just, she was told it from what I say. They've put it to you in the film that she is quite young, and she's a bit, she has these moments, particularly with one of the other dancers, that show that she's a bit possibly brash and can be a bit hot-headed, but also she's good at her job. She can make money. She knows what she's doing, so you know she's got all of the smarts to be handling herself and just doing whatever she needs to do to give
But the
herself.
issue there is that she's not being backed by Ivan. I think that's where it all kind of falls apart for her, because she's on her own. There's no one behind her, no one backing her. Where she thought she, not to be too cool, she thought she had her claws in, and she didn't have them in deep enough.
No, again, I think that's a misreading of what we're shown. Like, totally, personally speaking.
But I think whether she has Ivan or not, if Ivan like almost runs away squealing at one point, when he's gone, for me, I believe Anora would immediately be like, right, what's the next move to make? Even while those guys are in the house, and she has to start thinking ahead. Like, I believe this character would always be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead to keep herself safe and to not be losing out, even just financially, on whatever is being played out around her. So when that started to fall apart, I didn't believe the way things started to play out, because I'm like, no, I don't buy this. That isn't like who this character is. And I'm not saying that I assume she's, like always ready to be manipulative and exploit a situation, but it's tied in with is someone using their flesh pump while I'm talking?
No, I think the cat's scratching the little coil on the side of my mic stand. I'm trying to shoo her away, but
I thought Tyler got too carried away when we're talking about Anora. I just think in terms of like her, she would always be there about her self-protection and her, and not going backwards, because she has been determined and talented enough to always be moving forwards. So I never bought that's where it fell down for me. Now, on the other side of the coin, though, those characters and those actors that Dave so bravely tried to pronounce all their names, they are
sorry.
Like, no, that's a better job I would do as well. But they're all really good as well, and I like the movie works because they come in and they're good characters. They're played well. The sort of the interactions between everyone is really good, and it's still Mikey Madison's character at the heart of everything. So that's why it keeps working as well as it does. It's because of those other characters. If anything, like, Ivan's the weak link in terms of the character and the actor playing him. Really, so I don't think he's like that great at all. So I don't know, like a different way to do this without an Ivan, but then I don't know how you would do this without an Ivan. So I really love Madison in this. I like the other characters that come in round about the halfway point, and I like the movie, but I didn't love it quite as much as so many other people. I mean, few people love it as much as Tyler, but I definitely can see all the praise for Madison, because she held my attention throughout. Like, I would have watched this for another hour if it had just been like showing us the next step in her journey.
I have a question before T goes. How many notes did you guys write that directly reference Tyler?
In a way. In a way, all of them reference.
Well, yeah, I mean, but how many times did you write his name in your notes on this? Like, Tyler would love that.
I would.
Like, I don't.
It's at least 3, isn't it? It's at least 3.
I don't have enough
So-
pens in the house
Oh, wow.
to write that down.
My
It would
first
just be scrolls all over the wall.
my first note is literally, this is the most Tyler opening we've ever seen.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
It is. It really
I-
is.
I actually just turned my screen round to Vicky and went, Tyler's choice.
Yeah, I was just wondering because it was multiple times for me.
Was that you, Kevin?
Oh yes.
Okay. Okay, guys, strap in and put on a raincoat because I'm going to gush here just for a minute. I had 113 notes written down for this. 113 that I'm going to try to like scramble into a sensical review. But I've said this many times on this podcast. Every time we talk about Sean Baker, actually, but I'm gonna say it again. Sean Baker is one of my like actual spirit animal filmmakers. I love him. His non-judgmental approach to sex workers and how he truly humanizes these characters in his work absolutely warms my heart. He makes movies about people that I personally relate to and gravitate towards, strippers especially, and there's a reason for that, but this isn't about Tyler's personal life, so I'll just leave that alone. Anora is a fucking masterpiece. It's probably the fastest I've ever put a film in my top 30 as well, like instantly after watching it, just fucking instantly. Right from that opening credits, which Dave mentioned, that dolly tracking shot through the VIP rooms of the strip club, this movie just grabbed the hold of my heart and just dry humped the hell out of it. I was instantly in love with this movie. I mean, that whole HQ strip club is such a vibe. The neon lights, I fucking love it. The cast is amazing. As you guys said, Mikey Madison, she is an actual fucking star. I love her performance here, and I love her character. She's tough, she's likable, she's spunky, she's a hustler, and she just fucking kills this role. She's amazing. I connect with her character so much, just instantly. Mark Edelstein is great as Vanya. I loved his performance. He is a spoiled little shit, and he plays it perfectly, which it's exactly how he was written, and he's fucking great. I'm not going to try to pronounce their names because I'm just not. So I'm going to use their character names. Toros, Garnick, and Igor. Those guys are incredible. Igor especially. I love him. He's great. He actually got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for the Golden Globes, which is awesome. Love him. But everything about those guys are just pure fucking chaos. I love every second they were on screen. That whole 28-minute sequence in Vanya's parents' house with them fighting with Anora is just so beautifully chaotic in the most Sean Baker way possible. It's loud, it's profane, it's fucking hysterical. Just nobody directs chaos quite like Sean Baker. It was giving me like strong Tangerine vibes, which that movie is pure chaos too, and it's amazing. One little random moment that makes me genuinely laugh, and Dave mentioned it already, but when Toros is waiting for the picture of the marriage license to come through on the phone, and he gets it like right in the middle of the baby's baptism, that little no he lets out when he finally sees the picture just cracks me up every fucking time. It's hysterical. That delivery is pure gold. The soundtrack is great. I love all the music in this. You get some DMX, some Iggy Azalea, Brooke Candy. Brooke Candy is great. You should check her out. I love Sean Baker's script. 1 second it's making me laugh. The next it's hitting me in the feels super hard. First half is like a drug-fueled Pretty Woman style romance. And I use romance in quotes because it's not a romance. It's really not. It's a transactional romance all the way, like you guys said. And they never even try to hide that. So anybody that thinks it's a romance, it's really, really not. And then the second half just switches gears and turns into this screwball journey comedy going through New York. And it's amazing. It's amazing how well Sean Baker just perfectly balances the tones in this. But there's so many great little side characters like Lindsay Normington as Diamond. She only has a couple scenes, but I love her. She's like, I guess, like the villain of the piece. She's the villain stripper, but she's great in this. She only has like 2 or 3 scenes, but she's super memorable. And Ivy Walk as Crystal. I loved her. She worked at the candy shop, and she's just great. I wish we could have seen more of her. She's wonderful. But yeah, guys, I mean, I can gush about this movie for hours and hours and hours. I can go scene by scene and tell you a single moment I love in each fucking scene. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to spoil everything for the folks who haven't seen it yet. The movie is still super new. So I'm just going to end my review on the ending. That ending hits me like a fucking semi-truck. The cut to credits and all you hear is the sound of the windshield wipers moving. It's just a total fucking gut punch of an ending. I am going to say this, though, because I don't get to say this shit kind of often. I don't get to say this shit very often at all, actually. But a sex worker, Tyler Favorite, usually never gets nominated for 5 Golden Globes. Ever. So I'm just going to revel in this shit for a minute because it just never happens. But yeah, Anora is an absolute work of art. And I'm really, really glad you guys liked it a lot because that's awesome. It never happens very often. Like I said, a sex worker favorite of mine usually is mixed on this show.
No,
but
I think you've done well with the Baker movies at least.
Oh, no, yeah, the Baker movies. But I've picked a lot of stripper porno star movies. And
well, yeah, they pick bad ones.
But yeah, Anora is a fucking masterpiece, and I love it dearly.
Because T is so happy, I'm going to let him revel and fall on the sword to discuss Megalopolis.
Ah, man. Just the happiness comes straight crashing down with a pile of shit to the face.
Just remember, wonderful. You fucking owe me for this one. Okay. What the fuck to say about this? Set in an alternate New York City, now called New Rome, the film follows shitty architect Caesar Catalina, I can speak, as he fights with Mayor Franklin Cicero, who opposes Catalina's plan to revitalize New Rome by tearing down all the poor housing and building his utopian Megalopolis out of bullshitium. The film incredibly heavily references Roman history, if you hadn't guessed from the fucking names, and it dresses everyone like they're in a fucking Roman orgy from 1975. It's shit. It is absolute shit. And it's the kind of shit that is so fucking brain damaged and so head up its ass bullshit that people will like decide that it's smart and it's not. This is cinema's version of fucking Ayn Rand. Okay, now I'm gonna ask, and I know the answer already.
Just don't ask, Dave.
Okay.
Don't ask, and keep that little bit of hope in your heart.
I don't want you guys to have read this. I've read this, and I feel bad for it. I don't know, because I'm compelled to be. I wouldn't be disappointed this time. That's why I wanted to say good on you guys. So you guys haven't read Ayn Rand, but I have, because in school I had a friend who discovered her and loved her, and my friend was a fucking idiot. And he's still a fucking idiot. Ayn Rand is a bunch of bullshit about an ubermensch who masturbates to himself, and all the women fall in love with him and masturbate to him, and he does everything perfectly and can go no wrong, and it looks down on anybody that's poor or not perfect, and it's shit. It is absolute shit. It is brain damaged bullshit that has popularized libertarianism among the dumbest of us in the U.S., and decades later drove the Tea Party bullshit. This will do the same, and I am so glad we will all be fucking dead before the people that think that this is smart get into government, because it is almost as fuckwitted as Ayn Rand. It is drool cup, head up its own ass bullshit. It says nothing, it does nothing. Fucking, okay, so Francis Ford Coppola spent $130 million on this because this is a trash. It is anti-art bullshit. It's ugly, but he did murder his career decades ago. So, whatever. I feel bad for that one. That just came out. I wasn't thinking. I hate this movie. The cast is terrible. The cast is absolutely atrocious. Everybody in it should feel bad for their performances. Fucking Adam Driver is I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Like, I'd compare him to, say, a performance in a Neil Breen movie, but Breen's performances are more grounded and human than this. He has superpowers and can manipulate time, and his will is so strong because he's an ubermensch with an incredible ego that he's able to not die from from wounds that would kill any lesser man. I hate it. I hate everything about it. Driver is atrocious. I feel bad for Giancarlo Esposito. He's a fantastic actor who is, an older black man in America. So he is cashing those checks, and I will not fault him for cashing those checks. I hope it was a big enough check, because this movie is a stain on his filmography. Nathalie Emmanuel is gorgeous, absolutely dull as dishwater, but she's gorgeous. Aubrey Plaza is terrible in it. Shia LaBeouf is I don't know words to describe how Shia LaBeouf is in this movie. Horrific, just does not do it. He is every villain from a Disney Channel series rolled into one, and then somehow found more scenery to chew. John Voight is atrocious. Lawrence Fishburne made me cry. Why, Lawrence? Did you need the money that bad, buddy? I'll lend you $20. You didn't have to do this. James Remar is there and being very sad. D.B. Sweeney is the saddest of them all. It's just atrocious and brain damaged and ugly. This is one of the most ugly films I have ever seen. I can't fault them for, not putting the money on screen, because it's there. It's just, it's fug. The effects are atrocious. There's some interesting ideas. Like, I'm sure if I saw this in theater, the bit where Driver talks to a man in the audience would have been interesting, but it's not good. He doesn't say anything worth hearing. I don't get the recent obsession with Rome. Rome was shit, and shit things happened in Rome. Rome history it's interesting, but only because they're fucking awful. I understand he's making parallels to Rome falling and America falling, but it's not thought out well. It's not well delivered. It's mostly just kind of drooling, masturbating on itself. Coppola should have retired. He should have retired at least 20 years ago. There's nothing redeeming in this film, and it is endlessly long. But no, it's the kind of unredeeming, mindless bullshit that is so condescending and head up its ass that morons will put it on a pedestal and turn it into a thing. They will build they'll build philosophies around it. And this is why I can't wait for the fucking heat death of the universe. I'm not even going to talk about the shit that happened on the set, because that's not what we're here to talk about. Maybe after you guys are done, I'll talk about what a scum fuck Coppola is, and apparently a child molester. But whatever. I'm not going to talk about that now. That's not any bearing on the film as put on screen. But what's put on screen shouldn't have been. Someone should have fucking stopped him. All his kids were fucking there. Smack your dad. Kick him down the fucking flight of stairs. Break his goddamn hip. He burned all of your inheritance to make just drivel. Jason Schwartzman, you were there. You should have suffocated him with a pillow in between takes. You know he was napping. You knew he had a pillow. You knew you were standing there holding it. But instead, he lives and this was released. And this is just more evidence we're in the worst fucking timeline.
I saw two people this week say this is one of those disaster piece kind of films, like a movie you can put on at a party and laugh at with your friends. First of all, if I'm at a party and someone puts this on, stop the fucking train. I want off. Get me off this bitch right now. Just get me off. It's a disaster, yes, but it's not entertaining. It's not fun. Just stop the cap, bro. This is not a so bad it's good disaster piece. This is just shit. It's boring shit. It's just a bad movie. And if it wasn't made by Francis Ford Coppola, this would have long been forgotten. Nobody would give two shits about this movie. Look, I don't like Coppola as a person. He's done some awful shit. One is getting someone out of jail that should have rotted in prison, but I'm not going to get into that. But I do enjoy a lot of his work, even some of his later stuff like Tetro, mainly for my weird love of Vincent Gallo, as Dave once said.
You're a sick man, Tyler. I mean, I love you, but your love for Gallo is just, it's, you need help.
I mean, Tetro is better than this, right? You have to admit, Tetro is a better movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, watching Craig take a shit on his dog is better than this.
That's true too. This is genuinely embarrassing. Like, some of that green screen is laughably terrible. The script is terrible. The cast is atrocious. I love Adam Driver and I love Aubrey Plaza. Love them both so much. I just watched My Old Ass with Plaza, and she is great in that. But they're both terrible here. Terrible. Which I'm honestly, I solely blame on Coppola. How does one get a bad performance from Giancarlo Esposito? How? He's great in everything. He was just great in Abigail. Just how does one get a terrible performance from that man? I don't get it. So I'm just going to blame everything on Coppola because this was his obvious passion project. This is the movie that he always wanted to make. I don't know why, but it is. Greg said something on the chat earlier this week that I could never now unsee, and Dave kind of hinted at it too. This is like Neil Breen levels of filmmaking with $120 million budget. Look, I don't like Neil Breen, so for me that is an actual fucking nightmare. But at least Breen seems to kind of love what he does, you know what I mean? And so I can't outright hate the man. I'm not saying Francis Ford Coppola doesn't love film. I don't see any love into this movie at all. None. I'm shocked this played on IMAX screens. It's so ugly visually, just absolutely hideous to look at. I can't even imagine what that CGI looked like on a giant screen. Good God. And then that fucking ending fade out edit zooming in on the baby's face like we just watched an episode of fucking Looney Tunes. That was just shit frosting on a shit covered cake. This movie is awful. And like I said, I like a lot of Francis Ford Coppola's movies. I fucking like The Godfather 3. I stuck up for that movie. But this is by far the worst thing he's ever made, ever, and probably the worst thing he'll ever make because he's an old man. But yeah, this movie sucks. It's bad. It's really, really bad.
I think you have to kind of hand it to Francis a bit because I was concerned that I might struggle to separate the art from the artist on this one because Coppola's just vile and what if this was good? How would I cope with that? But that's fine. No, that didn't happen. So thank you, Francis. Thank you for flushing 120 million of your own money on this bloated, self-important, irrelevant piece of trash that so perfectly represents you as a person. Thank you. I will kick off with some nice stuff because I genuinely do feel there is some stuff deserving some light praise. I think there is some cohesive and thematically strong production design in this film. I think there are lots of great details in the sets, and there's more character in the costuming than there is in the writing. But the sets are nice, but they're consistently over or underlit, so they look cheap. And the costumes I like, but they're all accompanied by the most insane, ill-advised hair and makeup I've ever seen. The hair and makeup must have been done by Coppola's great granddaughter because it wasn't done by professionals. So the physical visual elements of the film are by far the best part of it, but each good part is handcuffed to a shit one. So you've got one half of the team trying to make stuff that's visually arresting, and then the other half of the team making stuff that they should be arrested for. It's just there's nothing good because what is good is attached to stuff that's so bad, and that's as positive as I can be about any of it. The cast is awful, really awful. If Aubrey Plaza is well platinum, then Natalie Emmanuel is aluminium. She is so dull. She really tries as well. She's obviously excited to be in Francis Ford Coppola's new film, but she can't do anything. She's very boring. Giancarlo Esposito is bad. He's doing silent movie acting for reasons that escape me. Like his first scene, he has to react to some stuff that's in the newspaper, and he's got his eyes bugging out, and like he's in a movie from the 1920s. It is
I'll
bizarre.
tell you. I mean, I can answer why. He was told to because he's a consummate professional.
I guess maybe maybe he got the gig for Megalopolis, heard Metropolis. I don't know, but he's really bad, and he's never bad. And the veteran actors who have been dragged into this, like, they look haunted. Like Hoffman looks tired as hell, like muttering about characters' dicks and whatnot. Like Talia Shire is waffling on about string theory. John Voight is just swaggering around like a drunk chimp. It's a cinematic nursing home, basically. Even Larry Fishburne, even Larry, who I love so much, like Larry Fishburne could read out the menu from the worst restaurant you've ever been to, like the ones that keep giving you mushrooms, Dave. He could read out their menu, and by the end, you'd be licking your lips, thinking of giving him another chance because he's so commanding. He's got that kind of classic Shakespearean actor thing, that untold like gravitas. Yeah, every time he spoke in this film, I found myself thinking like, "Shut the fuck up, Larry Fishburne! Just shut your fucking mouth." And it made me really sad to think that because it's Larry Fishburne and I love him. And I'm gonna make Dave angry and say there are, I believe, two performers in this that kind of escaped unscathed for me because I enjoyed them while they weren't remotely close to good. No one in this film is good. But I give Driver points for going down with the ship in the most spectacular possible fashion. He's the band on the Titanic. He gives himself to it and he goes down with the ship. So I let him off. And Plaza has irony in her blood. She has enough irony in her blood that she is genuinely bulletproof. In the worst shit, she can just hit you with enough irony that you just sort of let it go. So I was okay with Driver and I was okay with Plaza, even though they were shit.
That is the biggest stretch you have ever made, buddy. That was like, I can hear your back creaking from that stretch with Plaza. I'm just, look, hey, love who you love. I get it. Until I saw this movie, I'd have been there with you. But now I'm side-eyeing.
She has a way with her where you could say she was probably taking it very seriously, but she could convince you that she wasn't, and you would let her off. That's the level of irony that's at play with Plaza. But I just enjoyed her, even though she was terrible. I admit she was terrible. I admit that Adam Driver was terrible, but they entertained me a little bit. But Coppola, whatever. He's the main offender. He is, what the fuck? Like, I try to avoid the term pretentious. I try not to use the word because it is the most misused word on the fucking internet constantly. But this film is the dictionary definition of pretentious. Just the most minuscule, inconsequential brain farts mistaken for big ideas by someone who's so out of touch that he'll pump his entire creative and monetary legacy into sharing his vision of the world. And his vision of the world is one that cinema has been discussing since, 1927? And like other art forms have been discussing for as long as those art forms have existed. There's nothing new here. This stuff has been picked over for fucking centuries. Like, Francis, do you think that the era we live in might share some parallels with one that came before? That is fascinating shit, Francis. Why hasn't anyone ever thought of that and discussing that and dissecting that idea before? You're so smart, Francis. I don't know how he must have dementia. I'm sorry. There's no way the man who made the Godfather films, goddamn, it made me so angry. Like, I'm getting my stroke thing where I can't remember words. Like, he made the Godfather 1 and 2, made the goddamn war film that I can't remember the title.
Apocalypse Now.
And then made the Conversation. That's a 4-film stretch that beggars belief. There's no way that same man thought this film was smart or interesting. It's not possible unless he's had some serious brain damage.
5 decades can do a lot. Let's just.
Oh yeah. It's just the dialogue, man. The dialogue in this film, like, he doesn't want you to notice how vapid his like overwrought stoner poem is. So he's just muddying the waters. He's just making the conversations of this film are like they're being shared by Cold War spies on a park bench somewhere. They don't make any sense. It's like, the Megalon is not safe, but we are not here to discuss trees. Well, I am moral as hell. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And it's just to muddy the waters that, and make it less clear that the film is absolute pure old stupid fucking drivel. And I hate it. It is a car crash, and it's not a fun car crash. There's very, very little to enjoy, ironically. I think, I'll tell you what, the only way to enjoy this, and I feel I would enjoy it in this way, is if you went to the world premiere, whenever it was first shown, and you got to spend the entire 2 hours and 80 minutes staring deep into the eyes of Coppola's like least talented family member, and like watch the lights slowly dim as they realise that whole zeros are like falling off of their future inheritance check. But I'd watch. I'd watch one of his nephews like die inside for 2 hours and 18 minutes. That would be kind of fun, but I'm glad I don't ever have to watch this again. And but I am glad that Kevin made us watch it in 2024, because you would have ruined my whole year, Kevin. You would have ruined an entire year. So I'm glad you just ruined the end of the last one. Thanks, Kevin.
It's all right. I mean, the downside is the least talented member of Coppola's family may now be Coppola. So.
True.
True.
Roman's still there.
Yeah. Tyler thought he was getting the sweep this week.
Tyler might get the sweep next week too, if it's compared to.
Well, I picked this. This is the kind of film that comes along with a reputation that makes it. It's just too intriguing to completely ignore. And I thought it's new, it'll be juicy, give us something to talk about. It could be funny. Like, it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny for me. I hated it as much as you guys. So, but hey, it gives us something current. So we're there. This was awful. It's I agree with what Craig said though. Like, the costuming is good. There are some good sets and effects, but they're just not shown that well quite often.
Every scene is overlit or underlit. Every scene is insane.
I even like the moments with the the kind of the 3 frames. Like, I could, not that I liked it while we're watching a movie, but I liked the idea of that. That would impress me on a big screen. And I like the fact that Coppola was going for, at least he looked like he was trying to make every scene as big as possible and use the biggest format and present the biggest vision in a way that's different from, say, Michael Bay just wanting to make the biggest explosion and edit the hell out of car chases. Like, I like the intent when it comes to the picture, the actual audio visual experience. But the execution doesn't match the intent. And yes, the acting is generally pretty poor. And this comes from a group of actors who I would tend to like in most things. They're not good. I can't remember where I read it. I'm sure I read that there are things in here that actors thought were kind of warm-ups or just exercises in between takes, and Coppola was just filming everything and then use it like that ongoing Shakespeare stuff. I know you were quick to mock that, Dave, and I'm sure I saw something maybe in an article about this. I'm sure that was just filmed, and Driver thought that was just a kind of exercise for probably checking the cameras or sound or something. So that feels like a correct explanation for a number of moments. I don't know whether it's 100% true or whether people are now trying to use that as an excuse because the whole thing was quite chaotic, but it rings true. And they're all just stuck with it now, stuck with being here. But I'm surprised that Dave was being a bit coy because, like, I don't even really care about the stuff being compared to the Roman Empire and all that. That felt by the by to me, because this is an entire film in which he's really saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter what folk have said we do. Creative people have to create. You have to let them create. That's all this is. This is one big vanity project with millions and millions of pounds thrown at it for Coppola to say, you shouldn't cancel people.
Do you want me to tell you why I didn't do that at the end?
Because you would get
because the
rage vein exploding in your head.
The last 20 minutes when Driver appears in front of the proletariat and the starving masses, my brain shut off. I don't have any notes. I don't remember a goddamn thing of that. My brain literally shut itself off to survive. I don't know what happened in the last 20 minutes.
He said, referring to the baby, someone said, make a better world for her or for him. I was thinking that's really ironic because you have just made a much, much poorer world for every member of your family who was meant to be getting an inheritance check in the next few years. Like, you've just gone and done the complete opposite.
Yeah, once Driver opened his mouth in that final bit, my brain I disconnected. I went away. I went on vacation. It was lovely.
It's obviously why John Voight has a main role here, which is
Shire.
Is awful, yeah, and Shire, like, yeah.
Is Hoffman cancelled?
Well, he had his name cropped up in stories from years past where I think it was a consideration, and then he may have.
Then he retired
by being like, it was a different time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, John Voight
imagine him being a dickhead.
Yeah. But John Voight gets to sit there and demand that people admire his hard-on. So he was probably the first one to sign up. Let's admit it. Shia LaBeouf, like, I have enjoyed Shia LaBeouf in a number of movie roles. I have. I just, can't help it. He can be bad as well, but I've found him overall to be good, which is why I've always wanted them to sort of shit out and like get on the straight and narrow. And then he ends up getting a part in this and being like someone who's battling to hit the bottom first. He's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, like the only ones that come out of it not unscathed, but less damaged than the others are Plaza, because she does have that I don't know, whatever phrase infatuated Craig used about her. And I think I think Nathalie Emmanuel does okay, even though she's got awful lines to deliver and is involved in just as many awful scenes as Driver, but she somehow like gets through them just that little bit better than he does.
I just love that you two are blinded by different actresses in this film.
It's every bit as bad as I'd heard it was, and like that doesn't happen often. As Tyler said, he had people say it would be like this sort of party film and one of those so bad it's good. That's a tricky phrase that I don't think I often agree with, but it doesn't have that to it. It's just, I mean, everything. There's so much awfulness working against the small percentage of good stuff there that, like, it's an eye-searing, ear-bleeding travesty for all involved. It's one of those cinematic follies that doesn't come round too often to this degree. So when it does, you should at least once just bask in the glow of it till you feel your skin burnt slightly, and then just leave it and leave it forever. Put it in some kind of time capsule, bury it with a sign saying never open even if the end of the world is nigh. And that's it. You've done your bit and you're protecting future generations from it. So I mean I'm still happy I picked it so that I wasn't going through the pain alone. But yeah,
we could have got 12 million new Neil Breen films out of that money.
That is true.
I was thinking about that. At least Breen would have made a point that was better than Coppola's point. And he would have had better effects. Imagine a Neil Breen movie with a quarter of that budget, man.
It's the first week of 2025. We've all had a bit of fun at Coppola's expense, and Tyler starts the year with a sweep. I am the gift giver of all gift givers.
We don't know if he started with a sweep yet. It's that time. It's time for us to decide which film is the best. And it's Anora. I mean, this is just obligatory.
Yeah.
Very much Anora.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Anora.
Yeah.
Anora.
I mean,
well, I don't think Tyler said it yet. Wait there.
No, I said it. Anora.
Oh.
I mean, let me think on it for a minute. Let me just give a little think. Yeah, Anora.
All right. So Kevin's psychic, apparently. Okay, so next week it's me and Craig. Craig, can I ask you a question first before I reveal mine?
Because
I'm having a hard time choosing. Are you going to Japanuary it?
I am, yeah.
Then I will too. I was gonna go for a Chinese film that I've been wanting to pick for a while, but it can wait. So I can't really choose. So I need you guys to help me. Kevin, A, B, C, or D?
B.
All right, so that is Summertime Machine Blues off the list. That is... we will be watching that at some time because that is supposed to be weird and quirky as hell.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Tyler, A,
Yes.
B, or C?
C.
That is Cure off the list by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. That is...
we'd already seen that.
Oh,
we'd
did we?
covered it on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, crap, you're right. We did. Well, then thank God for that. Craig, A or B?
B.
All right, that is Only Yesterday off the list, which is a Studio Ghibli movie about a 27-year-old office worker reminiscing about her childhood in Tokyo and how life could have been. Disney refused to distribute it because two women discussed their period in it.
Fuck's sake, Craig.
I know. This is also on the list. We will be watching instead The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, which is a surrealistic comedy about a couple being kept apart by insane college kids.
Okay. Yay, I'm glad you're Japanuarying. Oh, that's hard to say. Japanuarying with me.
It is a tongue twister.
Yes, that is. I mentioned the director earlier, the director of Typhoon Club, Shinji Somei. I actually watched 2 of his films in the last couple of weeks, and I loved one of them so much that I wanted to share it with you guys and discuss it. So that is Shinji Somei's 1996 coming-of-age drama, The Friends. Would you like me to announce my...
Oh, yeah.
Well,
you've got to tell us what the theme is also, so yes.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
I decided I'm going to keep forcing Japanuary on you. I'm gonna make you do it. So I'm going with the movies of Tatsuya Nakadai, the actor, the incredible actor Tatsuya Nakadai. Now, some of his films you won't be able to get. You're gonna have to be careful. You're gonna have to make sure before you pick a film that you can actually find it somewhere. But it can be a lead. It can be a smaller role. It's going to be some of them are going to be tricky to find. So it doesn't have to be a lead role, but make it a decent sized part, please. And if you go for an animated one, you go for a bit of anime, obviously make sure Japanese audio is available because otherwise, he's not in it. Obviously. But yeah, so just anything you like with Tatsuya Nakadai being amazing. And for my pick, I'm going to go with the 1966 samurai drama, Sword of Doom.
Ooh, I wonder how Kevin and Tyler will react to this Japanuary being forced on them. They were so happy to break free, and they reveled in it in the first week.
I won't.
Well, I didn't care. I was just saying I was going rogue for a week. It didn't bother me, but
I am emigrating to another podcast. You can email us at raidersofpodcast@gmail.com. We are on Instagram, raiders_of_the_podcast. We are on Blue Sky. Dave?
We are Raiders of Podcast .bisky. Whatever it is.
Bisky. Find us on Facebook and other social medias, and like and subscribe and give us all the love on the podcast supplier of your choice. YouTube, I try and do a weekly video. I have had a break over the holidays, so that is a couple of weeks, and I will be back to say Happy New Year to people and put some nonsense on YouTube. And I think that is it. Have I forgotten anything? It's been a while.
You can email us.
Notes that Tyler has.
Okay, did you do the email address?
I did the email,
okay,
yes.
All right. I'm just double checking. And you did
should have asked Tyler this week. He had everything just written out.
Did you mention the Discord?
No, I didn't mention the Discord.
Yeah.
See? We've got Discord. People should join Discord. Discord's fun. I like it. I spend, I think, more time on Discord now with different servers and conversations I spend on other social medias. It's either that or just sending little messages that I roll up into a ball and flick over the sea and see if they hit Tyler's erection while he's watching Anora.
Nothing can. He's got his gravitational pull.
That's true. Yeah.
Saw his dad's Facebook post as he got ripped out of his car coming home one day.
I don't even know how to use Discord.
That's okay. We'll teach you.
But if I did, I would post girthy cock pics on there daily.
Yeah, well, and Van's. There's even a section for your Van's photos. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll talk to you next week. I mean, maybe not Kevin. I might not talk to Kevin for a couple of weeks, but I'll talk to the rest of you.
Right now. See ya.
All right. See you. That's right, guys.